What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Aishel, and we're going to talk about our January budget, finance review, no spend, catch up, planner, inputs, extravaganza. So welcome to today's episode, and I hope that you can take something from this video. I want to be able to provide some kind of value to you guys, whether you guys are watching me for my finances or doing a no spend challenge or for my goals for 2024. It's definitely holding me accountable for everything that I'm trying to do. But I also want to feel like I'm providing some kind of value to you as the audience, the person watching this video. So today I wanted to just wrap up January's expenses, kind of talk about what my process is when I'm doing my finance, and kind of touch on my goals for 2024 to see how I'm progressing with what I'm doing, what my goals are moving forward, and how I can get better as months go. So let's get into that. What I normally do on a monthly basis is I have a Commonplace journal where after the end of the month is over and it's closed out, I write down all of the expenses that I have for the month, and I go through the cards that I have, and I go through all of the expenses that I have for each card, and then categorize them into the categories that I have for my variable expenses. Now, if it's a new category that is not accounted for, then I just create a new category and I add that to my variable expenses at the end of the month. So everything is good with my variable expenses. My gas is under, my food is under budget. The dog's budget is also under. My work budget is also under. This month definitely. Do you hear the dogs snoring? Do you hear the dog snoring? It's this guy right here. This one right here. He's a big boy. That guy is just living his best life, which is awesome. That's what we all want to do. That is our goal right there. So anyways, yes, I did take out one time. I did get some pizza, $10, you know, one of those emergencies. So we didn't have time. That's usually what happens every single month. What I do want to focus on is getting better next month and meal prep more, which is what I focused on a little bit more this month. Now I just want to update you on my medical expenses, where my goal was to spend $50, and obviously for this month I spent $1,348. I had two bills that I had to pay, which was for $29 for radiology and then $289 for a Western physician. I paid that. It was about $313 or so. And that came out of my own pocket. That wasn't YSA. That wasn't through an HRA card, nothing like that. That was just something that I did not take into account when doing all these medical expenses, because something always comes up or they bill you afterwards, which I was not expecting at all. And what I'm seeing after I had gone through my pre-op appointment with my doctor, after I paid the $1,000 for my surgery cost, I was billed afterwards for another $932 from the hospital, which I don't know where these bills are coming from. They don't tell you ahead of time, like, hey, we're charging you this, and then the hospital's gonna charge you this. They don't do that. So that's another tip. Usually for any medical expenses, you just want to make sure you're saving as much as possible, just in case those extra expenses come up, because you don't really know what is going to happen, honestly. Luckily, I had my YSA card, which paid for that $1,020. This month, I was also putting money aside for my medical fund on my own. I had put a total of $1,000 on there already by the end of this month. So regardless of that extra bill that they're billing me, which without insurance was like 30 grand, you know, luckily I did change my insurance for this year to the higher tier, so I am getting deducted more for my medical plan for this year. But because of that, I'm paying less for my deductible, which is only $750, plus all the co-insurance payments that is added on top of that. It came out to only $932, which I still wasn't expecting, first of all. But that might be something that I would be able to afford without having to save more money for my medical fund. So I'm just going to leave that sinking fund as it is, and I'm not going to add any more until the surgery due date comes up, where they're going to charge me $932, and we'll see how that goes. But from all of the medical expenses and all of the things that I'm learning from having this particular thing happen where it's going to show up, and that kind of taught me that I just need to stay on top of my medical bills and making sure that I'm paying those on time and not going to collections and ruining my credit, basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a dedicated medical page that's going to be in my planner moving forward, because I did want to transition completely over. Can you hear that guy snoring? Jesus. Hopefully not, because that's embarrassing. But so moving forward for February, I am transitioning completely to my planner. So I'm starting to make the pages as I go. I can possibly include them in the description for the things that I'm creating in case you do want to use it and in case it's helpful to you. That's definitely something that I hope I'm giving value to you by watching these videos, because it's definitely helping me. And if it's something that I can help you along the way, then that's awesome. I'll be more than happy to. Hey, look, it's Rhea. Rhea Beans. Hi. All right. So while I'm getting distracted with all of these things that are happening in front of me, I write everything down, all of my expenses for the month, in my Commonplace journal, right? So once I write everything down, I put them into categories. And then once I do that, before I got completely distracted by my medical funds, my medical bills, I write that all into my variables page, where I write that all into my variables page, and I update all of that in my monthly expense planner tracker thing. So once I do that, just so that you know, the budgeting that I'm doing, the method that I'm doing, is not necessarily the budgets that I have listed in my previous videos. It's kind of a mix of all of them, kind of, maybe. So I did talk about the 50-30-20 budget. I talked about the pay yourself first budget. I talked about the zero-based budget, and I talked about the cash envelope stuffing budget. What I'm doing for my budget is a little bit of everything. I have my pay yourself first budget, where I'm doing the 7% for my 401k. Then I also have my 15% that I'm going to my stock options, where my employer gives me a discount on stock, and that also gets contributed to my future expenses. And then I also have my sinking funds that I automatically get direct deposited to my SoFi account, where I would either distribute it within whatever I'm trying to put money towards. But in this case, for January, I am just doing it all towards my medical funds. So that's where my pay yourself first comes in. Now, I don't really do a zero-based budget, because I don't have a set take-home pay. I don't know what I'm going to be paid every single month, whether I'm doing well at work or not. It fluctuates, right? So it's not something that I can budget for every single month as to what is going to be able to be put into those certain categories for my bills, for my sinking funds, for my future funds, and so forth. So what I just try to do is just try to keep my expenses to a minimum, so that way I can just focus on getting that situated, stop spending, because I'm doing a no spend year, which is honestly great, because it's just neutralizing everything, and I'm just starting from scratch and just adding what I need to add, and intentionally spending money on the things that just matter the most right now. So that's kind of what I'm focusing on. Now, that's also where the cash envelope system kind of comes in, because I do have sinking funds, but instead of keeping them as cash, I put them in my SoFi account, because they are a high yield savings account, which I've talked about in my previous videos. if you want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the description where you get $25 as a referral code if you open the link and open an account within 30 days and do a direct deposit. So if you don't have a high yield savings account where you can create your sinking funds, this is honestly one of the best ways to be able to put money aside and still take interest from that, instead of just leaving that on your checking account with all the other funds that you need to pay for and all of the things that you need to take money out of. It's just kind of dividing it and conquering those different categories so that you know that each single category that you're saving up for has its own spot, and that money that you're putting in there is doing a job specifically for those things. So it's definitely something that I'm doing. I just don't physically do it in cash. I just keep it in my SoFi account. So for my fixed expenses for this month, I did have my insurance that I had to pay for, which turned out to be $573, but I already have a sinking fund for that. So I wanted to wait until the end of the month before everything else was kind of finalized, before I've withdrawn it from my sinking funds and paid for that directly. And I talked to you guys about canceling my Spotify account in my previous videos, where because this is no spend, I'm really more intentional as to what I need to work with, what I need to spend my money on, and what is necessary for me right now. So that's definitely always something that I think about throughout the month, to see where I can save money on, and see where I can make money as well. So another thing that I did was, because I did have to pay for those medical expenses, I did notice that I had points in my credit card to be able to pay for them as a cashback type of thing. So what I ended up doing, because I wasn't expecting these medical funds to come out of my pocket, I ended up using my credit card points to pay for those expenses so that I didn't have to pay for it. So even though I'm out of pocket my medical expenses in my variable expenses, which I'll pop up right here, even though for my medical expenses I budgeted $50, even though I spent $1,348, $1,020 of that was paid by my YSA card, and then the other $313 or so was paid for my credit card points, and the other $9.99 that is not accounted for, I ended up buying some supplies for my cycles and all those things that are, YSA eligible. So I couldn't use my card for that, but I'm going to get that reimbursed through the YSA card company. So that's going to go back to me, where it's going to be coming out of my YSA card anyways. So even though I ended up not having to pay anything out of pocket this time, because I ended up figuring out ways to use the funds that I already have in certain categories to pay for those expenses, I'm still not coming out of pocket with my medical expenses, which is a great way to be able to find other solutions. So that would be another tip that I have for you, is if something comes up, think about the points that you have. Think about ways that you can get reimbursed from your company. If you don't, figuring out how to, pay for those things where you may not necessarily have to, because that's a great way to be able to kind of find money in little pockets of things, of places that you probably didn't already think about before. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Now for my goals for 2024. I will also put this on the screen. These are some basic things that I wanted to work on this year. And the main one that I did want to focus on was the finances, because this month I was really overwhelmed with all of the goals that I created for myself. And these are definitely self-inflicting things that I'm doing to myself. I don't have to create goals, right? I don't have to set any of these goals for any of these categories. I just decided this year I'm going to make goals for 2024, and these are the categories that I want to focus on based off of what my life path is looking like. And it's definitely not something that people have to do, right? You can create mini goals, you can create all these other goals, but I definitely started to think more as the months or as the time went this year that it was definitely overwhelming, and I was putting myself in this stressful situation where I felt like, shit, can I actually do all of this stuff? Like, do I even actually have the nerve to even consider thinking about doing any of this stuff that I'm trying to do or trying to accomplish this year? But you know what? Yeah, why not? Like, I honestly don't see why goal setting is a bad thing, because it's definitely something that is going to benefit you in the future. Whether you're trying to figure something out, trying to learn something new, it's definitely always something that I have no problem trying to set goals for myself, because it's always in the step in the right direction. Whether you want to learn something new, whether it's something scary that you want to do, like starting a YouTube channel. In the last month of making videos, I've already learned a lot about myself, a lot about what my skill sets are, where I'm lacking, and where I need to get better. So this month was definitely very reflective, but I tried to just, Jackson! So for my goals for 2024, my finances was the first thing that I focused on, because with no spend year and with being mindful about my expenses, with my medical expenses, that was the first thing that I wanted to tackle, because that's the only thing that I knew how to have control over those controllables, which was my finances. Everything else was kind of new or something that I had to work on. So taking over the one thing that I can have control over was my finances. In my finance goals, I wanted to do a no spend year and to max out my Roth IRA. Now for the no spend year, that's obviously starting, and it's going okay. It's going well. I don't think I have any issues right now. I'm not like super into buying things. It's not really a problem for me, only when I go to a store. So that's kind of just putting myself in those situations where figuring out if what I'm doing is actually being intentional with what I'm doing. So it's still definitely a work in progress. But what I do see in all of the goals that I'm doing is by tracking them, by doing this budget, by seeing where my money is going every payday, seeing what I'm spending my money on when I do my expenses for the month, is really working, is really helping in that sense. So definitely the budget is definitely something that's great to have, honestly. And if you haven't already done a budget, you should definitely check out my other video where you can download the one that I'm using and see if that helps you in any way. So I hope it does. But yeah, the no spend year is great. So my other finance goal was to max out my Roth IRA. What I ended up doing this month was I sold my personal stock in my individual account, and I ended up moving it to my Roth IRA. So I put $5,200 about. So the max contribution for 2023 was $6,500. So I only need $300 more to finalize the contribution for that year, and I can move forward with other future funds that I'm working on as well. So that's already almost done. Right now, I still do want to do my 2024 contribution, which is $7,000. So I will start working on that whenever I get the chance to. But right now, my other goals, or right now my medical funds is still kind of up in the air as to if I'm actually going to spend the funds that I put aside for my sinking fund for my medical, or I can, if I don't end up needing to use that, I'll distribute that, or I'll reallocate that to either my emergency fund or any other funds that I need to have right away. So that's great. Now, for my other goals for 2024, the other two that I could make an impact on that I started working on this month was my personal goals and my education goals. Now, it was my goal to read 8 books for the year. I also wanted to do daily journaling and to start an art journal again. And I have been successful doing those. I was able to consistently write in my journal either in the morning or at night whenever I had time. I did go through 2 pens already, which is cool because I just need to find some really good writing pens. But I also start to feel like I don't want to use the really nice pens that I have because they're so nice, and since I can't buy any more pens, I'm just going to save them for my planner writing days and just use any old pen that I have for my writing. I started an art journal, which I have the video for from last time. And for my books, I was starting to reread Atomic Habits again, just because I didn't do a lot of notes on them. I just did like bookmarks. I just kind of went through the bookmarks that I've had for the beginning of the month. And I realized that I wanted to read the 12-week year, which has been a book that's been widely talked about with a lot of people. And it was something that I wanted to read, but because of the no spend year, I couldn't buy it. But I started looking through other people's YouTubes, and someone had mentioned in their comments that there's actually a free YouTube audiobook for the 12-week year, and I'll leave that in the description in case you guys want to check it out. I started to incorporate some of those things that I learned in that book for my schedule, for my routine, and that's still something that I'm constantly working on. I haven't been super perfect with creating a routine, and hopefully as time goes, this is going to get better, because now that I'm doing a physical planner and not my digital planner, I want to be able to create out a ideal weekly or daily routine depending on my work days off, and what I'm doing during those times. That's still something that's a work in progress, but creating a weekly routine is definitely something that you want to do, because then you can really block out your core tactics, your deep work for the days that you want to focus on, whether you want to write a book or whether you want to learn something, kind of like creating that schedule for yourself. So that way, if you're going to the gym, if you're doing classes, you want to block them out so that you know that you're looking forward to those events, and then you're not going to miss that opportunity for something else or not doing it, because you know that you set yourself up for this. And creating those habits or those routines for those specific things that you're trying to do is only going to develop in a way where, as long as you're consistent about it, you're going to see traction and you're going to see progress with what you're doing in your routines. So like I said, creating a habit tracker, doing that is a great way to be able to see your progress. So I definitely still believe in habit trackers. So I currently just have something like this where I just have this on my planner, and this is like for this week. Now my weeks do start in a different day, so all of the things that I'm uploading or things that I'm giving out for free, they're all blank, and you can personalize them to what days you want to start with. Honestly, at the end of the day, sometimes when I'm doing all my reading, my writing, my classes, I'm able to check them off, and it feels really good because I feel like, yep, I did something today. Even though it wasn't something crazy, just remembering to do my routines, doing these little habits, they're going to accumulate, and you're going to feel like, oh my God, I can't believe I accomplished reading 8 books in a year, because I had created those different habits for my everyday habits, my routines, so that I can get to that goal, no matter how grand or how big or how small those goals actually are. Creating a habit for them, creating a routine for them will allow you to get there. So for my goals, I feel like there is a lot, but I feel like if I can just manage my habits every single day, I can eventually get to it. Now, the other education goals that I have, which was to just learn as much as I possibly can, whether it's through Canva, Procreate, and editing, those are still definitely something that I'm focusing on. And even though oh my God. And even though I feel like sometimes I'm lost, I don't know what I'm doing, I just keep on taking classes, keep on figuring out, okay, what is my weakest point right now, and how can I make this better? So, like, if you guys aren't paying attention, which is great because I've only posted about 5 videos, I missed my last upload from this past Sunday just because I filmed 3 times, or this is my 3rd filming, but I filmed the 2 other times and I had this upload ready, but it just didn't feel right. Like, it just didn't, I don't know, I still have so much to learn, but I'm just gonna try to knock this video out and just be as authentic as I possibly can. So I'm just gonna try to work with everything that I have here and just kind of tell you in a way that works for me. So Yeah, I don't even know if that made any sense, but my education has definitely something that I'm constantly trying to improve on. And so what I'm going to do is also create a list of the classes that I've taken, the classes that I want to take, and so that I feel like I have some kind of traction and I see my progress. I want to also have that written out on my planner. Now, like I said, I am gonna completely go analog for February. So I want to have as many pages that I possibly can use in my planner and not depend heavily on my digital planner anymore. So that's definitely something that is a work in progress. So I probably will have more pages to add on to this as time goes. But one of the things that I did add from recently was my weekly meal plan. I really like the colors. I probably will change more as time goes, but this is something that I've been needing. This month, this is something that I started working on for my goals. One of my home goals was to meal plan. So having this as a weekly tracker to be able to see what I've created, and then focusing on the recipes that I can create, focusing on the things that we like. The meal plans is probably one of the harder habits to incorporate because I don't normally meal plan, and it's definitely stressful when you think about what to make for dinner, what to plan for the week, what to make for lunch. So it's still a stressor that I have, but by doing the weekly meal plan, it's helping me kind of think about it in a different way where I can organize my thoughts, I can organize the recipes, and I can organize the week as to how I can manage what meals to make and not have to stress so much about it, and incorporate that towards my grocery list as to not just buying healthy foods or taking out processed foods, but being able to plan for a couple of days at a time, figuring out what's in our pantry, figuring out how to make recipes with that, figuring out what's our staple foods, the recipes that we love. So there's definitely a lot to consider when it comes to meal planning, and it's definitely something on its own that it needs space for. So that's one of the things that I've been working on for January that has been, at least I feel like I'm kind of chipping away at it. And hopefully as time goes, it'll get better. And if I come up with a better idea for my weekly meal plan, I'll definitely update you on that. But this will be in the description in the link below if you guys want to download that for yourself. So yeah, but other than that, one of my opportunities for the month, from the different habits that I wanted to incorporate for this month, I did have a few. I wanted to do some reading, my journal, taking classes every day. The other one was to work out. So out of all of those habits that I wanted to incorporate this year, I thought I was honestly going to be able to start working out 3 times a week like I used to before I took a break from it. But that was a huge failure this month. I probably only worked out 4 times in the last month, which was, pretty bad. That's like probably the biggest opportunity that I have in all of the habits that I wanted to track. From the 12-week year, they talk about reevaluating the habits that you've gone through and at the end of the week, and seeing that progress really, really hits home because it makes you aware of where you're lacking and what you can do better for the next week or the next month. So if you haven't read the 12-week year, I definitely recommend it. Seeing where you've succeeded and seeing where you need work on is definitely eye-opening for you because it's not something that you can just keep pushing aside. As weeks go by, you really see where your progress is going, what you need to work on. So you just holding yourself accountable to the things that you want to do is really good to have, honestly. So that's one of the opportunities that I have for my goals. Now, the other thing that I did want to start working on is the lifestyle goals that I have, which is to unhoard and try to start working into the path of minimalist lifestyle. So that's definitely something that I started to think about more this month. And it was super hard to do anything outside of what I'm capable of day by day because it was really cold. It was a tough month weather-wise, and it was just kind of, the new year started, everything is kind of new, figuring out what I can do, figuring out what I can get better at. I definitely wanted to start working on this, but it might be something that I can start moving forward with for the upcoming months, or at least for this quarter, for the year. So that's kind of where I'm at for my goals for 2024, what I'm working on, what I can do better on next month. and my planner situation. Another thing that I did incorporate for my planner was to do a monthly routine. Now, this is something that I've been working on, whether it's my weekly or monthly. I'm not necessarily a daily planner because I don't want to be on my planner all day, because that can get really addicting. And I don't want my planner to be something that is distracting me from my work versus helping me plan for what I need to actually plan for. For me, it seems like there are different things that is helping me with my planner, but I don't want my planner to be something that is going to distract me from my actual goals, because it can get really addicting to work on your planner, but planning more than actually doing things for your goals is a really bad thing. And I started to notice that at the end of the year, when I was like getting into planning again, or physical planning. It can really consume your time in the day just to plan on stuff. And planning can be an addiction that I don't want. So daily planning is out. Weekly planning maybe can be a thing for like my schedule purposes, but I think my planner has been a thing where I can just kind of focus on the meal prepping, my daily trackers, kind of paying attention to those and having a specific section for the trackers. My planner is definitely helping when it comes to my expenses. After this month, I'm starting to know when my routines are for my finances, which is usually for my paydays, and usually for when money goes in or money goes out. And when it comes to expenses for like what I buy, I just use a card, and at the end of the month, I just kind of write everything down, like what I showed you with my expense tracker. And then I put that and update my finance for the month for my monthly expenses from that list. I want to be able to be efficient with my planner, and I think that's a big opportunity for myself. I'm sure for a lot of people, because planning can consume your life. So I just don't want it to be something that will hinder my progress in my goals. But it's definitely still something that I can start having a routine for and not have to feel like, oh, I gotta open my planner just to check it out, because I should know what I'm planning for, and I should know what I need to focus on. So other than that, there's going to be a lot of upcoming things that I want to work on for my planner, and definitely something that I want to share with you. And I definitely hope that you can get value out of the things that I'm saying, out of the things that I'm planning, and everything about this channel in general. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any feedback, let me know. I would love that. So like I said, I definitely hope you gain value from the videos that I am uploading, because I definitely feel like it's helping me, and I want to be able to help other people as well. And if I can do that through finances, through budgeting, through all of those things that I'm going through in my personal life, if that's helping you in any way, then I'm definitely happy about that. But I also want to be able to make something for myself where I'm able to make progress in the goals that I have, and hopefully create something for myself in the future, whether it's being financially independent. That's definitely a goal of mine, and using my art to be able to do that for myself and for my family. So that's definitely something that I am aiming for, whether it's this year or whether it's next year or the years to come. The goals that I created for myself is something that it is hopefully attainable this year, and hopefully I can continue on next year, whether it's through education or creating new things. To close this all off, no spend year has definitely been an eye-opener for me, whether it's becoming more intentional with my spending and incorporating other aspects of my life to be more intentional with my finances, whether it's my health, whether it's the habits that I want to incorporate in my daily lives or what I want to learn. I hope it's something that you guys can take value of in one way or another. And yeah, so I will have more videos about this if you guys want. Let me know. But I do have a lot of ideas that I want to make videos about. This is just kind of one thing that I feel like it's kind of all coming together through this planner. So I just feel like if there's something that you want to talk about, or if you want me to talk about, then definitely let me know. And yeah, I will see you guys on the next video. Take care.